Welcome to Podband Pipecast, the premier pipe band podcast.
Nice. You got it right this time.
Yeah, I did. Been practicing. Whole week.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here once again with Cody Nunez, who was also on last week's episode. If you missed last week's episode,
go listen to it.
Go listen to it.
What are you doing?
I don't know why you're here and not there. Yeah. So we have some questions today for Cody. Also, you'll notice we're sitting not the same way.
Those lovely Patreon people will notice.
They'll notice. Well, anyone else who sees our thumbnails on our Facebook will notice.
Be a Patreon anyway.
Yes. By the way, Cody's going to be demonstrating, or he has some props here that he's going to be showing us. And if you pay a meager $5 per month on patreon.com/podbandpipecast,
yes,
you can see the videos from today's and all of our episodes in the future and everything like that. And it's going to be great because you can see what we're talking about. But even if you can't, we're going to describe it to you. So, yeah.
So why is it called a snare drum?
Very good question. So it's called a snare drum because of the two snare mechanisms on this particular drum. And for those of you who are paying for the Patreon subscription, I'm showing you all the bottom of the snare drum here. You have a bottom snare like so, and then you have a top snare that is situated on that mechanism below the top head, the batter head there. Yeah, ultimately, I mean, both of these snare mechanisms are equally important. You know, this drum, if you take the bottom snare off, it's not going to sound good at all. If you take the top snare off, it won't sound good at all. So really, both of these heads act simultaneously, both of these snares, to produce the wonderful pipe band snare drum sound you all are accustomed to. I better move that.
And then for those who can't see, the snare basically looks like... For those who can't see, the snare basically looks like a bunch of strings of like metal.
Little slinkies.
A bunch of strings of metal. Oh yes.
Like slinkies.
Yeah.
They're a bunch of slinkies.
I would say it's a bunch of crimped wire. There's a number of strands there. To be honest, I don't know how many strands there actually are in either snare mechanism. The top snare is a little wider than the bottom, just to accommodate, the stick as you strike the drum, strike the top head. Hopefully you all could hear that because I had my back to the microphone. But
okay. Got a thumbs up.
We have a good editor. It's
awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why it's called a snare drum, because the snare, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yes.
By the way, if you already know this, just leave us a comment.
Just play along.
Or, a like or something. Just let us know you're listening and you had a fun time, or if, you want us to talk more about the snare and the number of slinkies it is, let us know.
Yeah, it's very scientific.
We will count the
We don't have
slinkies.
like a ton of time to get into the...
all the theory. We will count the number of slinkies on a snare if you want.
It's a good way to put it, slinkies, yeah.
But, yeah. So, what is something... I know a lot of our audience, for whatever reason, a lot of our audience is pipers. What is something that pipers wouldn't know or might not know about the snare drum or playing the snare drum or whatever?
I would say that probably the most, one of the main things is that all that fidgeting you see drummers do is actually very productive to their skill and their talent. Yes.
I refuse to believe that you sitting there dropping your stick on the drum is productive.
Oh yeah, making the patented fart noise there. Yeah. No, but all of the fidgeting, the hitting rocks and other things with your sticks, the tossing your sticks, that's all building excellent stick control. It's encouraged and it's passed down. It's a timeless tradition that's passed down from one instructor to the next. So, you need to fidget with your sticks, pick up the sticks, get time with the sticks in your hands, and then eventually it just becomes an extension of your own fingertips. It's very productive.
That's
despite the thoughts of most pipers, but
they're always like, "Oh, why are you always hitting things? What are you doing?"
Right.
Yeah, well, why are you always tuning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got him.
That's true. I fail to see how that's productive other than getting a good tone. But I mean, anyways, Green Hills 1,000 times.
So, speaking of sticks, and this is not on the sheet, but
That's okay.
speaking of sticks, and you're talking about they're an extension of your fingers or your hands. Is it different when you switch sticks, or when we've seen you with different brands of sticks? Are they all like pretty much the same, or?
There are a lot of distinct differences. We are right now playing this Bass Sticks by Barry White. Well, they're Barry White sticks by Beat Street, I guess, to be specific. But the main differences that I've found over the years are not only in stick weight, but in balance, like where's the center of gravity in the stick, and then also on the tip of the stick there, the shape. If you get like more of a rounded stick, we've played like Eric Ward's in the past. It seemed, overall it had a different roll feel when you'd play your closed rolls. More of the tip on this stick is more like it's more egg shaped, I guess, not quite to the extent of like we played some Andante. Can't remember the model now at this point, but everyone was kind of having a difficulty getting really good closed rolls. It just felt different. So yeah, every stick feels a little bit different. This is a pair, and weight is a big thing too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I prefer heavier sticks. I have like these big block hands. I mean, in relationship to this water bottle, you see, So like I just feel like I need heavier sticks. It doesn't mean that I necessarily like play louder, but I just feel like I have better control. But it doesn't necessarily like hamper my playing. These are a really light pair of sticks here.
So it's all kind of personal preference and try it out and see what works.
Yeah, and I would say like one of the main things that matters to us is pitch. So pipers, I mean, other than the fidgeting, you probably see us doing this number with our stick, like kind of tapping our temple there. And I bet you cannot hear that hum in the microphone, but a little bit. Anyways, so the pitch of the stick is also another factor we look at, not only to make sure that they're similarly pitched, but like, a higher pitched stick is typically what we look for. If the sticks aren't pitched the same, then you can, I guess, a trained ear, you can hear it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to pay attention to that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start hitting our heads with our mallets and seeing.
Yeah,
are they
pitched listen to the resonance. Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's cool. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like when pipers see you just hitting your head with your stick, they're like, "Oh,
just a dumb
wow."
drummer.
Everything they're doing is productive.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a secret to it the whole time.
Or it could just be that this is all nonsense. I'm telling you.
It's true. Tell us.
It could just be all nonsense, and you just be going around telling everybody these
We will.
things.
We will honestly tell us. Are you listening to this? Is that nonsense?
Do you hit yourself on the head with your drumstick?
We don't know. We don't know. We're tenor drummers. We don't know.
Yeah.
Please tell us.
Just seeing it, I can see if everyone's paying attention in the crowd. I don't know. Is there a crowd?
Is there? We don't know. Like, comment, and subscribe.
That'll show us.
Let us know.
That's a good plug.
Yeah. See, you like how I did that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is, in your opinion, the most challenging part about playing the snare drum?
I would say the most challenging part probably is, and I guess we have like realistically a pretty boring instrument, to be honest. Like if you look at it in the scale of instruments as a whole, right? We can make two sounds, a tap or a buzz, right? And we realistically have like a very narrow range of appealing sounds to a snare drum. And I think that comment is probably asinine to a lot of people. Like it's appealing to hear a snare drum, right? So I think that's the key is to know that you have to play in such a way so that it sounds musical, and to hold up our end of the deal as a pipe band drummer, and that's to add, help the pipes with their musicality, right? Because anyone can get out there and just start rat-a-tat-tatting on the snare drum and making a big loud mess, right? But it takes a lot of skill to play it well, I guess, to make it sound good, sound appealing, I guess, as opposed to just a big loud mess.
Supposed to just smacking on a drum.
Right, yeah.
What do you like most about drumming?
I guess I like, with that, the last like comment I said, that it's challenging in that regard. And we've got like, it's really interesting to figure out like, what can we do, right? Like how much room do we have? How can we do this, be unique, be different. Especially with like Scottish snare drumming. I heard at the clinic we had a while back here in Phoenix, Derek Cooper made a comment about that. Like, Scottish drumming is so cool because, we listen to all these other types of drumming. We're like, oh, that sounds like that was cool. Like that rhythm, that riff they did or whatever. And we try to incorporate that into what we do. And I don't think that's happening in a lot of other styles of drumming. We're hearing things like, Scottish drumming as a whole is known for really like a bluesy jazz style, but we really take a lot of other moments from other pieces, and try to incorporate that into what we do to again, like make it interesting. So it's not just, bang, 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 on the drum.
Speaking of musicality and making it interesting, what are some ways that you as a drummer can add musicality to the overall performance of the pipe band?
Absolutely. So, really being that we have like two distinct notes, a tap or a buzz.
Can we hear those? I hate to make you get up, but can you do that?
Yeah. So like on a drum, I've got like a tap. My snare sounds really weird right now for some reason. And then a buzz, right? So like a buzz would be like a closed roll you'd hear. So we can't, with that demonstration, like we can't hold a note per se, right? Pipes can hold notes, but they have one volume and it's loud, right? with snare drums, with tenor drums and bass drums, like we have the good ability to play at different volumes, but we can't hold notes. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how this like homogeneous mixture happens, right? Where we come together as this pipe band and make this beautiful music, right? As we are able to like, take notes that either they want to emphasize and we're able to make those louder, and we're able to take other notes that they don't want to emphasize and make them quieter, and then put together this big collaborative scheme.
Mm-hmm. Scheme.
Scheme.
Like that.
Yeah. So I guess that's the main thing. I guess to put a word to it, we add contrast to the pipes. Mm-hmm. Where the pipes we together build this idiom and build this music out of our contrast and their note holding and so forth.
Yeah, and we talked about that a little bit in the last episode when you were talking about like, learning how the pipers are playing and like, are they rounding it more, or are they like whatever they're doing. And that gets really tricky, right? When you're trying to, as a snare drummer, you're like, I need to hit this note exactly when they hit their note. And like, then if we have a note as tenors or bass, it's like, we all have to be hitting that note exactly the same time across all our different instruments in order for it to sound musical.
Right. It's quite the coordination effort. It really is. Conduction is important, I would say, between, that as a drum sergeant and a pipe major, you're kind of like dialed in. I know where Chris is calling breaks. I know where his tempo is, and you have to have that bond there, or else you're not going to understand. It's going to be a train wreck because there's so many different places that an idiom can fail, or it can go sideways on you. A strass bay is a perfect example. It's such a tricky and Scottish idiom. It has to be right. You can't just go in there. A strass bay is expressed wrong, expressed round, it sounds like a jig. And then if you have a strass bay that sounds like a jig, you're done. It's so it's one of those uniquely Scottish things. You don't want to screw it up. It has to be right. And so it just takes a lot of that coordination and practice.
Yeah. What is that other thing you have brought?
Oh, this red T looking tool here is a drum key. It's pretty much a glorified 5mm Allen wrench. But it fits it allows me to adjust, the top head, the bottom head, all the snare mechanisms on the Andante drums. We had pearls in the past where you'd use the drum key on the heads and on the top snare mechanism, and then the bottom had like knobs you could turn and adjust the bottom snare. Whereas on Dante, you have a key or an Allen wrench for pretty much everything on that drum. And the harnesses we're using too, actually. I'll have to show you all one of those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I brought my harness there. It's a, some of you can see it. It's a little dirty. I gotta clean this up. But it's a Randall May. It's got this back support on here, affectionately referred to as, I heard Dan call it, a whale tail. This is a great term for it, I think. I don't really know what else it looks like. When you kind of turn it like that, it looks like a whale tail right there. No, you can see it like this.
Swimming.
Yeah. So, yeah, these are great harnesses. They feel they're really comfortable. Give you some support kind of everywhere on your back there and your shoulders. We used to play with, we've played with a bunch of different harnesses. It seems to be a really good piece of equipment there.
Yeah, I know. We've seen a variety of, like, in our band, we've kind of seemed to try something different every few years, as a lot of bands do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll see this grade 1 band had this harness. Oh, let's all get that harness. And,
Yeah.
These seem to be working pretty well, though. Remember, back in the day, they used to have the single shoulder.
Yeah, I started with the sling. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a difficult way to play. It changed a lot of things. Most notably, probably the way that we held our sticks, with a traditional grip. For those of you on the camera, like this is my left hand, and so the drum was angled like this. You see a lot of colonial drummers the same way. It just due to the nature of it. Your drum's off to the side like this at an angle, and you had to beat on it like that. Now that we're pretty well level, we do put it to a slight camber there just to, make it easier for your left hand to play as opposed to not jacking your left hand up in the air. But yeah, it's good stuff.
Would it be blasphemous to switch to a matched grip like they do in marching bands, since the drum is level now?
I don't know. It's tough to say. I don't think so. I think that's a good part of our drumming. I don't think anyone would shame you for it, but maybe I'm wrong.
Oh,
yeah.
If he's wrong, let's take a vote.
Yeah.
This is a very interactive episode.
Yes.
For you on Facebook, angry react if he's wrong.
Yeah, there you go.
Like if he's right.
Yeah.
Or heart. We like hearts too.
Yeah, okay. Heart if he's right, angry react if he's wrong, like if you're not listening to the episode.
Or haha if you just think we're funny and you. Yeah.
Oh, that's a stretch, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. That's a good question, though. How does someone get started playing snare?
That's a good question. I guess I would say, like, approach your local pipe band. I would say that's, like, step number 1, I would say. Any of us are willing to help out, email the band, email any band, to be honest with you. Like, if you really want to do pipe, if you want to play drumming, snare drum in a pipe band, that would probably be the best way. And, we always start people off with, sticks and a pad. I would say that's the first step, and then we start from scratch. Like, how do you hold the sticks? How do we play basic rudiments? And, how do you read music? It depends on your skill level, where you came from. Some people, like, you're a complete beginner, I've never played an instrument in my life. Then we go into that, like, how do we read music? How do we do all that stuff? A lot of people come from, like, a Drum Corps International or just high school drumming background, which is great. Yeah, wherever,
Just Google local pipe bands.
Yeah, like,
yeah,
by any means, that's the goal. Like, especially Arizona, like, wherever your local pipe band is, hit us up, whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pipe band people are very friendly, I like to
Absolutely.
say, in general.
Yeah,
For the most
absolutely.
part.
Yeah, there's a lot of good pipe bands in this great state. We have, like, Tucson, you've got Phoenix, you've got Glendale, you've got us, you've got and please, if I miss anybody, I'm sorry, but there's tons of fire department bands. We've got bands up north. It's great.
Find a band and play drums.
Yes, play drums, play pipes, do something. Don't just watch these and say, look at these yahoos. You say that too, but join a pipe band.
Also join a pipe band.
Yep.
What has
Oh, okay. What has been your most memorable experience or couple of experiences with the band so far?
Oh, I would have to say, like, probably one of my most memorable, I would say, like, I have like a show and then like an actual experience in like overseas. So like the show was like back in, I think it was like 2003 or 2005. So it was like pretty well after I started. It was only a few years in. And we played for a troop homecoming. And I don't know if you remember that.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, but so we were like standing, we lined up outside the hangar gate or the hangar doors, and then behind us were like all these National Guard, I think it was.
Yeah, it was National Guard. And they had been in like Iraq or somewhere?
Yeah, they were coming back out of some stuff, and like,
Yeah.
They opened the doors, and we just started like marching in, and the roar of the stadium like almost like knocked us over. I couldn't even hear myself playing, it was so loud. Like the hangar, I should say, not the stadium. It felt like a stadium. It was just amazing, like the positivity coming out of that room, to see those those men and women come back. It was just amazing to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So that was, it was nuts.
Well, yeah, I remember that time feeling like, oh crap, like I know they're not cheering for us, but it's just like crazy because they hadn't seen their family since they deployed however long ago. And then they just roll up the doors and like, I kind of felt bad. We were the first thing they saw.
I know.
They're expecting,
yeah,
I know. They were expecting to see their family, and then the hangar door rolls up, and everyone's screaming their heads off, and it's just a pipe band. And
yeah, it was just to be in the same like building as that crowd and those wonderful people. It was amazing. It was like it was an experience I'll never forget. It was crazy.
It was incredible. By the way, if you're in a pipe band and you have the opportunity to play those shows, they're probably not going to pay you, and that's fine. Just, do that for them, like for our military and for people like that, because that's an incredible experience. It's incredible for them. It's incredible for you. Mm-hmm. And it's just all around. Just, highly recommend that. That's a great
absolutely
thing.
Yeah. So then my next, I guess, memorable experience, was the first time we went to the World Championships in 2005. Was that 2000? Yeah, that was 2005. Yeah. That was the first time I went as a competing member. Mm-hmm. And I know these are like old memories. Like I've had a ton of like amazing, like memorable experiences. And maybe this is one of the things because it's like one of your first experiences in the band. It's like, oh my gosh, So it's kind of like hard to top some of these things. As far as like playing moments. So it was 2005. I remember like I had just got into the grade 3 drum corps. So stoked. We went to the World Championships, played amazing. And then I remember like we're going out into mass bands and just like it was raining. And so you just look over this sea of like black capes and pipers and drummers. And it's like, wow. It's like there's hundreds and hundreds of bands, thousands and thousands of people there, just players. It was amazing to see that. Just a really cool experience, just totally different. Any experience any time you have chance you have to go to Scotland and play overseas, it's amazing. Yeah. And another memorable experience was just last year, like marching out, of the a competition, like Haley said, last week, I think it was. Just played it. You feel so happy, everyone played well. It was a good time, it was just a good time. It's just a good, memorable experience, memorable trip with everybody. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. We didn't, play perfectly or anything, but you come out of that and you feel good. Yeah. That's why you play, right?
Yeah. Every time get better, play better every time, that's the goal.
Yeah. Speaking of, what are you most looking forward to about pipe band in the next year or two?
I would have to say, just we're going to some different games this year. Salt Lake, we'll see that. I'm excited for the new experiences. I'm just excited for what the next year or two holds. To be honest, I don't know. I'm keeping my mind open. So I guess I I don't really have any expectations other than I know we're gonna play great. We're gonna have like I said, get better every time. It's just gonna be amazing. I'm just so stoked for it. Everything. I didn't mean to dodge the question per se, but it's like it's a tough one to answer, to be honest.
Well, as we addressed in the last episode, it's your second season being drum sergeant, so you got Dave had like 30 years. You got another at least 29 left.
Oh, geez, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the term limits or anything, You
didn't read the fine print.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, I don't know. We've been asking this to most of our guests. Mm-hmm. What would you like to hear from this podcast going forward? Is there any particular topics, or what do you think?
I don't know. I think some collaborative ones would be pretty interesting. If you got like a drummer and a piper together or something, and just,
have them go at each other.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, particularly if you get people who don't like each other.
That would be interesting.
It'd be like the Mari Povich show or something like that.
You are not the drum sergeant.
Turns into Jerry Springer.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll need some more security for that, I think. But no, I think that would be really interesting, to get a couple, some diverse perspectives too, like that, But yeah, this has been a great experience. Yeah. It's one of my most memorable experiences.
One of your most memorable.
Yeah, it's being on the pipe band or the pod band pipecast, the greatest pipe band podcast in the world.
It truly is.
All right, we're just gonna leave it there, ladies and gents. Once again, let us know. We asked you some questions or whatever, I guess, in the episode.
Yes.
Do what we said. Comment, like, subscribe, share with your friends.
Angry react.
Angry reacts only. Not angry reacts only. Please don't.
Forget the poll, only angry reacts.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed this show, then support us on Patreon for exclusive content, as well as the video of us recording this. We'll have special exercises we'll be writing, as well as tips and tricks with tenor drumming and other instruments to come. Subscribe to us on YouTube for some tenor tutorials and possibly other tutorials later on. And like us on Facebook at Podband Pipecast.